Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and tech freaks. It's Mac and Cheese here. Now, maybe less than a week ago, I made a video about how shitty The Promised Neverland season 2 was. And I watched episode 8 a couple days ago, and it answered some of the weird ass questions I had about it. So, you know, just for the sake of, stupidity, let me tell you how the episode originally ended. The seventh episode. So apparently something went on at the research facility, and I guess it causes the people who went there to have seizures. And that episode ended with Norman having a seizure and blood ending up on his hand. So then this episode 8 starts out with Norman being quote unquote shipped out by to the research lab. And this one is actually quite this scene is actually quite reminiscent of something that happened in the manga. You see, in the manga, Norman gets kinda adopted. At least that's what Isabella says. Norman, this is your new daddy. And then the guys are like, oh nah, you're too. Our ages are too close for me to be your daddy. So I'm just not your dad. But in the anime, she said something similar, your new father. And, he said, you're too old, I'm too young. So, yeah. So that happens. So it turns out that this guy is the guy that's freaking adopting him. Peter Rattery or something. So it turns out that James Rattery, which was really William Minerva, was a pseudonym, was the guy who, made the shelter for the kids who escaped and all that mess. You know, I guess he's dead now, right? He's dead, and now his evil brother, he seems like a freaking evil brother, is running this research facility and plans on controlling all the kids at the farms and not giving them a single inch of hope. Is I quote him, weirdo. Okay, so then it shows more scenes on in the place, and oh my god, dude, oh my god, the freaking the freaking Lombadas, whatever that place is called, it's messed up. It's definitely a testing facility. I don't know what they're doing to those people in there, but it's really fricked up. Like, you'd have to see it for yourself. I can't even begin to explain. But anyway, essentially, Norman takes the same test that they did back at the house, with the little cute little barcode scanners and all that. So it turns out that just for the research lab, the difficulty on the test was cranked up. But they also said that the Gracefield tests were already difficult to begin with, and then apparently Norman's like freaking Albert Einstein here. Out of 200 questions, he hasn't gotten a single one wrong. So now they keep wanting to study him because, oh my god, this kid's a genius, right? Then eventually when he shipped out, Isabella here was all like, aren't you excited, Norman? You can do all the research you want. And then Norman's like, what? What are you talking about? You talking about research? So Norman eventually plans to freaking escape this place to team up with Emma and the other kids and all that. So somehow he finds a way to break out and gets the other dudes, his friends that were also in the freaking place, like Vincent, Sislo, and Barbara, and they all came out. And then while he was there, Norman made the drug that is supposed to degenerate demons from their human-like form, their humanoid form, because without eating humans, demons can't maintain that form and just turn out to be wild demons that have no real conscience whatsoever. So yeah, so he gets out. Now, in the press episode, even though Norman and his friends want to release this drug and freaking kill the freaking demons, Emma's like, no, we don't gotta do that just because they're our enemies. So and then they found out that Mujika, one of the demons that helped them help the kids train to live in the wild, was the evil-blooded girl, which is a girl who contains blood that can so she can maintain a human form without having to eat kids, which I'm assuming is the case with Sanju too. He either he's drinking her blood, or it's the same thing, but he's probably drinking her blood. So yeah, if a demon drinks that demon's blood, then it works. It works like a charm. Money back guarantee, definitely. So yeah. So he starts freaking out. Norm's like, WTF, what do you mean she's still alive? So, yeah, with all that out of the way, Norman says, okay, find them for me. And if you find them, then I'll call off the drug thing. So, the Gilda, Dawn, Ray, and Emma put on their demon costumes again to go find Sanju and Mujika. And even though they had been searching for days and they have 4 days left, I believe, Norman's like, you know what, screw it. Sorry, Emma, but I'm doing this anyway. So I only really did that to make you shut up about it. So he freaking explodes the place, and they're all like, what the hell, Norman? We still had time left. So he goes into the demon city and first releases, like, I don't think the drug releases immediately, but I think it's more like a fire that messes them up, and demons are starting to freaking explode, and I mean explode like crazy. Oh my god, I can't even function. I rewatched the episode just to make this video, and woof, you don't understand. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is where it pulls at the heartstrings, and they make you feel bad for the demons themselves. Because Emma did mention in a previous episode that there are kid demons too, and it's not just all adults, which just adds to her theory that we don't have to kill the demons just because they're our enemies. But Norman's like, frick that, we're doing it. So a whole bunch of demons explode. This one little girl is like, Dad, no. Dad. And then and then there was another wife. I think it was her wife, and her husband had already degenerated and turned into a wild demon and ate the crap out of her. Like, he freaking ate her. Like, consumed her. And then it's this one little girl who is starting to degenerate. And this one broke my heart because this little girl, you could tell, and this little girl was crying, and she was holding a little baby demon that was also crying. I'm like, come on. You can't do this. Now, I really hate Norman because I love him, but this whole scene at the end of this episode made me despise him as a character. It made me rethink everything I once knew about Norman and how I used to feel about him. I get it. They're your enemies, but Jesus Christ, kid. So next, this little girl, her name's Emma. Now, I was really confused at first because an old demon guy showed up in a previous episode and met up with the kids in their, like, weird castle hideout thingy. And apparently that's this little girl, Emma's not boyfriend, grandpa. And that kind of explains why the demon said, oh, I've always liked that name, Emma. So that's what's confusing, but it turns out that this little girl's name is Emma. She broke my heart too, because she's all scared looking at everything that's going on outside the town, trying to find her grandfather, and then she bumps into Norman holding a freaking sword, and he's like, I will eliminate all demons, and I'm about to stab this poor little freaking girl. She's a child. Like, I get it. She's a demon, but dear God. So then the grandpa shows up, and what in the frick is going on in here? And then Emma finds her grandfather, and then, well, Norman started to kind of feel bad about all this. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not how I thought everything was going to go. I thought this was going to be all peachy. I didn't know this was all going to happen. So then, before he could even attempt to stop what was going on, the drug just flooded into there. And this is the scene I actually took the picture from, where the drug started having effects on Emma here, the little girl. But it wasn't affecting the old man. So Norman's like, hold the phone. I thought, isn't it supposed to be working? I thought she's like, I thought the evil-blooded girl was the only one that didn't work. So out of freaking confusion, Norman gets all, just freaks out and like stabs him in the hand. So while the little girl here is starting to degenerate, he's like, Emma, drink this blood and run. And as she was doing it, drinking the blood, the effects of the drug were reversing, so it was working. So Norman freaks out. That's why he stabbed him. And then the little girl's like, no, I don't want to go alone without you, Grandpa. And he's all like, fam, I'm fine. I've lived a pretty long and nice life. I want you to live. So, yeah. And then Emma and Ray show up. And they're pretty mad at him. Like, we had a couple days left. But they're like, Emma's like, you're not going to do this alone, Norman. We're going to help you. And for some reason, Emma hallucinates Norman, like, as he was younger and holding the same blood-covered sword but crying. I don't know what's with these kids and hallucinating things. Like, kind of like with Ray hallucinating Norman on the day of the freaking escape. I don't get it. But that's kind of how it ended. Now, this episode was messed up in so many ways. This was a very hard episode to watch. Now, the series itself is already dark, but outside of the first episode of Promised Neverland, this had to be the darkest episode I've ever seen. Like, Jesus, it made you feel bad. They did that on purpose. I know they made you feel bad for the demons on purpose by mostly showing the kids cry over their degenerated relatives or parents or whatever. But still, I couldn't for the last 3 minutes of that episode, my jaw was dropped the entire time. I didn't move, I didn't speak. I just watched and like, what in the frick am I watching? I just lost it. Now, if you're caught up, and you haven't seen this, I highly suggest watching this episode, because a lot of the questions I had were answered. For example, who was the guy with the white hair in the intro? Peter Rattery, whatever his name is, this guy. What was going on at the research facility, which we found out what had happened, what was going on there, and how Norman met the others. And he actually goes to Sislo and Barbara and says, we're gonna break out. So that's how they met. And then someone who's already kind of dead just gave him a pen. I guess it was the same pen that Norman gave to Emma and the other kids. I don't know, man. But at least that explained a little bit of something. But I feel like they should have done that before, instead of just making a flashback and then cutting back to the scene that the last episode ended in. Now, this does, though this makes, now that we know what really went on with Norman, there's still a lot of unanswered stuff. And it's the 8th episode. It was pretty dark, but it did fill in some plot holes, but definitely not enough for the season to be decent yet. Anyway, after watching this, I really just wanted to make this video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.